Hello, and welcome to a new series focusing on the work of Christopher Wren and his team in reconstructing the London city churches along with St Paul's Cathedral and other important public buildings in the aftermath of the Great Fire of London. Despite the mid-century devastation caused by the plague, London in the 17th century was well on its way to overtaking Paris to become the largest city in Europe. The first printed map of the city, known as the Agas map of 1561, reprinted with modifications in 1633, and John Norden's 1593 map, give an impression of the congested city in the Elizabethan and Stuart ages. Timber tenements crowded into twisting airless alleys, and cramped courtyards interspersed with the stone and brick houses of wealthy merchants lining the main streets. Supplying the growing urban population with food and fuel had spurred a far-reaching, demand-led boom and meant the Great Fire of London in 1666 was a disaster on a national scale, with an impact far beyond London. The fire started in the early hours of Sunday, the 2nd of September, at Thomas Farriner's baker's shop in Pudding Lane. An initial failure to grasp the seriousness of the blaze delayed preventative measures and enabled the fire to gain a firm grip. Fanned by a strong wind, the flames raged for 4 days, destroying 13,200 homes, 89 churches, including St Paul's Cathedral, the Guildhall and other public buildings. Several theories emerged about the cause of the fire, ranging from divine retribution to foreign saboteurs. The official conclusion was simply an accident. Within days of the blaze being extinguished, half a dozen proposals for rebuilding the city had been put forward by leading figures, including Christopher Wren. These were grand visions that saw in the ravaged waste left by the fire, some 80% of the city was gutted, around 430 acres, a blank canvas on which a new city might be imposed. Master plans based on a grid system with broad thoroughfares connecting key civic centres. All were abandoned. The treasury was empty, and the pressing need was to house the homeless and kick-start the economy. And legal wrangles over compensation for land taken would have led to unacceptable delay, with the result that the old street plan was largely preserved, but with roads widened and straightened. Only 2 new thoroughfares emerged, Queen Street and King Street, leading from the Thames opposite Southwark to a rebuilt Guildhall. Regulations were issued that specified 4 types of houses that would be permitted, from 4-storey houses fronting main streets to more modest properties in side streets, all to be faced in brick with fire-resistant party walls and with tile or slate roofs protected by brick parapets, no wooden eaves. Other work, including improvements to wharves, new water and sewage systems and cleaning out the River Fleet, was planned. 6 commissioners were appointed to oversee the rebuilding, but a combination of ill health and other commitments meant the bulk of the work was done by Christopher Wren and Robert Hooke. Wren had already been appointed to advise on restoring old St Paul's Cathedral, and when an increasingly frail John Denham died in 1669, Wren formally succeeded him as the King's Surveyor of Works. Wren and Hooke had a shared ambition: to turn a disaster into an opportunity, transforming the ramshackle hodgepodge of the medieval city into a modern, orderly, cleaner, healthy urban centre. Ogleby and Morgan's large-scale map of 1677 shows the layout of the emerging new city. Of the churches to be rebuilt, Wren said he wanted to ensure that the spires or lanterns, rising in good proportion above the neighbouring houses, may be of sufficient ornament to the town. But with an empty treasury, how would the rebuilding be paid for? Owners or tenants were responsible for replacing private houses. For public buildings, including churches, a coal tax was introduced, and parishes were expected to pay for furnishing and fitting out their own church. Many parishes raised their own funds to enable rebuilding to begin. Of the 88 churches destroyed in the fire, 50 were rebuilt along with St Paul's Cathedral, and one interior was restored. Now clearly Wren could not have designed every church. This was a team effort, but it's highly likely, given his concern about the skyline, that he did have an input into the appearance of the spires and towers. Of the rebuilt churches, 23 survive largely intact, some restored after damage sustained during the Blitz. A further 6 towers still stand, and 2 churches have been relocated. So Wren's skyline has changed, and the remaining churches are now dwarfed by high-rise buildings. A view of Wren's London from the school of Samuel Scott dates around 1750, shows the entrance to the Fleet River, transformed after a century of carrying the city's effluent from a reeking sewer ditch into a clean waterway navigable as far as High Holborn. A decade or so later it was culverted. Canaletto painted the River Thames on Lord Mayor's Day. It's probably 1752. In addition to St Paul's and the 50 churches, Wren and his team had several other public commissions as part of the rebuilding, including the Customs House at Billingsgate, the Navy Office in Seething Lane, and to design and construct a commemorative monument. The monument will be my topic next time. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.